Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. I want to thank everybody again, and I do this often because I feel that's one of the things that I did learn. That's one of the lessons I learned was gratitude, and I mentioned that a long time ago. So much is taken away from us, or rather we gave a lot away. We gave when we put ourselves in prison. We put ourselves in positions where we gave our freedom away. We gave our ability to be with family. We gave our, everything that came with freedom. We gave that away. Not our rights as a human, but we gave a lot of things away. So with that said, I learned to appreciate things. I learned to appreciate mail because people didn't have to write. Though we feel they should write, we feel like some people were obligated to write, and there may have been some that might have been justified in that, but that's neither here nor there. Me personally, anybody that decided to write, I was grateful for. Even if it was one letter, it may have taken a minute for me to appreciate that down the road, but that person did not have to sit down and write that one letter, and they did. And it made my day, or it made my week, or it made my month or year, or however. It did something, and I appreciated that. So I learned gratitude. So I'm kind of excessive with my thank yous and what have you, but, they're from the heart. And so when I say I thank you all for watching the videos, listening, giving the feedback that you've given, it means a lot. And I pray that what I'm saying does touch someone. It does affect the change in us, because I'm affected every day by something. I'll look at something on TV, on the news, and I'll learn a lesson from someone else's, life. So, I'm a constant student, and, I hope that we remain humble enough to be that students. So with that said, again, I thank you all for taking this journey with me. I want to get back into a little bit of my life so that I can, qualify myself to people, because some might sit back and say, who is this guy to, share his opinion? Why is his story important? And to somebody out there, may be nothing of importance, but to others, it may be an example. It may serve some sort of lesson, or some sort of roadmap of some things that may be good and some that may be bad. So I explained the divorce process, or rather the starting of separation with my father and my stepmother, and the day we were supposed to go see my grandmother, spend some time with my grandmother and my father's mother, and that didn't happen. He asked me to go get my mom and my brothers and them, my sister, she decided to stay. So my older brother and myself went with my father, and my two younger brothers at the time, and my baby sister, she kept them. Longest ride. We were going back to Maryland, Calvert County, and that was probably the longest, quietest, and probably saddest ride I've taken in a good while, up to that date, ever. So we went back and we tried to make life normal. My brother and I, you could tell there was a real weight in the air. My father was real quiet for a good while. I'm talking about like maybe a few weeks. He was quiet. We didn't go out to any parks like we normally did when it was all of us. We didn't go to any beaches or anything. He did his job. He was working, building picnic tables and doing some painting jobs, and my brother and I went to school. And it was, like I said, it was a wait, so we kind of stayed out of the house, and just walked around our land, still trying to chase lizards and whatnot, still trying to conquer the elements in nature, walking all the streams and through the woods and what have you. And we, gave my father some space, continued to make dinner, breakfast, lunch, and when we were late for school, take us to school. But it was a real wait. We didn't know where our siblings were for a while. And we looked for them in I want to say Falls Church, Alexandria. We looked for them. I don't know if my father had an indication of where they may have been, and one day we didn't. We rode around for like 2 hours and didn't find them. I don't know, like if someone told him where they were in the vicinity, because it's just like out the blue, he kind of knew the vicinity. So someone must have had to tell him. I don't think he had no honing devices that drew him to this particular area. So suffice it to say, the next day we went out to the same area. And lo and behold, we were riding and we were going down the street, and we looked to our left. It was a basketball court, man, and we saw our baby brothers, man, and our little sister, man. I tell you, boy, happiest day, man. I tell you, man. And he called them. They ran to the car. They jumped in. We went around the corner. He spoke to our mom, and we had him that weekend. So, life got a little more chipper. We saw them a lot more, and things were a little better. My father and some of close friends, decided to have a weed farm. So, because we lived deep in the woods, so it was woods everywhere. So they planted some marijuana here and there quite a bit, and just grew a farm, and wasn't really nothing to us. We didn't look at it like it was illegal. Everyone in that area smoked it or whatever. So, they would have weed, and frequently my brother and I would, my father would take us to our biological mothers and drop us off over there with her. She had stayed up northwest at the time, by a place called Clifton Terrace, Euclid Street. And so we stayed on, with weekends with her. And so after about, then we would see our siblings, on the weekends as well, every other weekend, once a month, because, trekking from where we were to DC was like, it was like an hour or so. So, we did that, and things seemed a lot better. We spent time with our mother, our biological mother, and, we enjoyed the area a little bit, but, we were from Southeast, so we preferred to go over there with our aunts and our uncles because we knew everybody in the neighborhood, and there was a lot more family. But we spent time, we didn't really do much. My mother, she was on welfare for a long time, so, we didn't really have any money when we went over there. And she would really sit in the house a lot, the apartment, and just watch, stories. But we would talk, and me and my brother would go outside, run around, rip and run with the neighborhood kids or whatever. So, speedballing. Time moves on. I would say 8-9 months later into this, maybe a year later, after the divorce. I don't even think it was that long. The police ran up on the land where we stayed. We were in a place called Lexington Park. We were going school shopping. So we come back, whole lot of all the stuff in their house was thrown everywhere, strewn everywhere. I'm talking about clothes, everything. And it was pieces of paper, like 4 or 5 of them, with jars on them. And what they were search warrants. And, someone had told about the weed farm. We eventually found out who it was later. Some neighbors up on the hill. It was a father, older guy. He used to play cards with my father. He used to smoke weed, drink beer. My father had confronted him on a couple of occasions because he broke a glass top that belonged to a table that my father had. And my father confronted him, and then he confronted him about turning a water spigot off that was connected to their house that we used to use, to spray ourselves on hot days if we weren't going to the beach. So we'll just use the hose and just, run around in the water. He turned it off one day. This is spring water, straight from the earth. So my father confronted him on turning the water off. So, I don't know if that's what propelled him to tell on my father, but that's what he did. He called the police. They came and they raided the house. They took all the marijuana off the land throughout the various areas that was there, the trailers that had weed in them. My father immediately jumped in the car and left. And when he left, he went straight to DC. And later on, we got a call from a cousin, and he said he was coming to pick us up. We packed some clothes. He came and picked us up, and we were staying with him for a moment in Suitland. And for about 3 or 4 days, my father was trying to figure out what to do. He didn't, know if he should turn himself in. So, he knew some people down St. Croix, the Virgin Islands. So, about 3 days later, we talked, and, him and I were on a Trailways bus, like a Greyhound bus, and going down we were going to Florida. And then from Florida, we would take an airplane to St. Croix, and that's what we did. And, I spoke to my brother. He stayed And when we were on the bus, I looked at my cousin. He was in the terminal, and a tear ran down my face because in my mind, I don't know how long we going to this island. I don't know nobody down here. It's my father now, but it's like I'm leaving my entire family except for my father. So I just saw it like this was, I'm never gonna see family again. So a tear came down my face. I think I fell asleep. Woke up, we were in North Carolina somewhere, then we were in Georgia, then we were in Florida. We stayed there for about a day and a half. I think something was wrong, or the plane postponed, whatever. We stayed there in a hotel for about a day and a half. We jumped on the plane. We went to St. Thomas, stayed there for 2 hours, lay over, went to St. Croix. Get to St. Croix, we stayed with a brother that my cousin had known. Good brother, he married, had a son. We stayed with him for a moment. And I mean a moment. Like, we didn't know anybody, so my cousin had known people. He had stayed down there for a while. So, we were there for about a day. I had met the brother. He was older than me, the son. He was a little older than me, but, I was going to stay in this room. And when he came in, we didn't really speak much that night, gave me some linens or whatever. And the next day, like I say, we were new, so we just kind of stayed around the house. I don't know what happened, but that night, my father was like, pack up. So the brother that we went to stay with, he took us to another guy's house. We stayed with that guy for like probably like maybe about a month and a half. And we didn't know him. I didn't know him. My father didn't. I couldn't sleep because like at night, my father, it was an extra room in the house. So my father, we would talk and, walk around for a while. It was beautiful. The Caribbean Sea is beautiful. I mean, the water was see-through. I'm talking about it was gorgeous. The weather was beautiful, but for all that, I miss family, and we didn't have a direction, so he didn't sleep in the room the first 2 nights. I didn't know where he was going, but there was a ballpark down the street, the road or whatever. He would actually just go sit in the ballpark, almost all night and just kind of think, I guess. So, I actually on the third night, I think I followed him. Like, I really think I followed him. And it was only about 9 o'clock at night. So, ballpark wasn't far away. And I walked and got up on the bleachers and walked and sat beside him. And he was like, telling me about, what he was going to start doing, which was doing some sheetrock and some painting. He did that. They did that for like about 3 or 4 weeks. And we got a little small room in this place called Prosperity. We were down there for roughly a year. We came up just before Hurricane Hugo hit. I believe that was in early 97, maybe. My timing might be off, but I know we were down there for roughly a year. I swam every day. We were in the Nation of Islam down there. The minister was a brother named Rookie Jackson. That was his name. Eventually it was Renhold. He drove a black and white Blazer. He was a police officer, which was crazy because we're down there, my father, he's running from the police in his mind, so we're riding around with the minister in the nation. Not, he's not knowing, why we're down there. He just knew that we were Muslims and, new to the island. So he showed us around, and my father formed a bond with 2 other brothers, a brother named Rashid and another brother named Leo. And they worked together for a long time. And, I made a couple of friends, and my father somehow found crack down there. How they have crack in the islands, I do not know. It wasn't modern, they had vehicles and everything, planes, so, but this is like 86. So how did heavy drugs get down there? So he started smoking drugs, and, that made things a little more difficult. I remember on my birthday, I wanted to hang out with him, whatever, but he was with a female friend smoking some drugs. At 2 o'clock at night, we were supposed to go to the Tiger Man concert. The reggae artist, Tiger Man, he was coming here, came to St. Croix. So my father kept telling me, we going. It's like for a whole week, so I'm eager to go. At about 1:30 in the morning, I'm sitting out on these steps in front of our room. He's in there, with the lady, man, smoking drugs. And this was my birthday, right? So 1 o'clock at night, morning. We walk about a half a mile to the stadium. I'm thinking we have tickets. We didn't. It was a hole in the side of the gate that about 20 people were still lined up crawling through the gate. So we crawled through the side of the gate. We end up right beside the stage, right? Tiger Man said about a line a line in one of his songs, and the concert was over. He came off. I remember he walked, and he had a leopard print, outfit, and I remember to myself, he's called Tiger Man, but he has a leopard print outfit. I swear that just stuck in my brain. And him and a few other people came off the stage. And there was like a gray sedan, a gray car. I don't know what it was, and I think a blue car. And they jumped in the car and they rolled out. And that was that concert. My father was like, "Don't worry about it, man. We'll go to more. We'll go to more." And that just weighed heavy on me. And I enjoyed it. We would walk, man. We walked a lot. We talked a lot. I went on a couple of jobs with him. But them drugs, man, there were times he would ask me to, go to the Brother in the Nation, and he would ask me, tell him I'm hungry. I'm hungry. And, I really wasn't hungry, I'd go eat mangoes all day, with a Spanish guy I was cool with named Magic, or a brother from New York named Billy. We'd go get mangoes and guava, I wasn't really hungry. But, the minister he would get $25. He would give me $5, and I would go get some tuna fish and grandma cookies, and he would smoke the drugs. And this was a long time, and it wasn't every single day, it wasn't every single week, but I've sat there and I've watched him make crack pipes. I remember one time it was a Mitchum deodorant, and he took the top of the deodorant, he burrowed a hole in the side, and he took an ink pen top and he put that in there, and the plastic melted around, and he took a aluminum foil, put it on the top, and wrapped that with some twine and poked holes in it. And I had seen him sadly smoke crack before, and he would take ashes and put it on top. And I remember just looking at him, and while he was doing this, and it hurt, you know what I'm saying? Because, I knew what people looked like when they were on drugs, but it was kind of new to me because we were down the Virgin Islands. So I didn't really see a lot of what we called crackheads or drug addicts down there. Alcoholics, I've seen them all my life, and many were functioning, because they were my family. They were functioning, had jobs. They'd come home, sip a little bit, wouldn't really get twisted until the weekend. So, seeing this, but I saw, the stage is going down. He would do a job, get a lot of money, and he'll talk about things we were going to do, and the money be gone. You know what I mean? So, but I still had fun. I mean, I swam every day. I enjoyed it, and there's a couple people that I enjoy. I swam with, and we would, like I say, ride horses. Me and the Spanish brother Magic, and so we did that for almost a year. I only spoke to our family one time. And that was because my father had called my cousin. He had wrote us, and he sent an article of my father, his case. So it did say that, an anonymous tip was given, which was the neighbor up on the hill. And, it was something like a bunch of marijuana plants. I don't want to exaggerate. I think it was under 200, and they varied in size from baby plants to tall, and they had put an APB on them, but it wasn't, my father again didn't know how serious it was. But my cousin wanted to go to Egypt and Mecca, to make the pilgrimage. And so he wanted my father to come back home, really to not just babysit, but to just face this, so we wouldn't be on the run, for all our life. So, my father put me on the phone. I talked to my cousins, I talked to my brother, and it felt good, man. But it was, again, hit me like, you by yourself down here. Everybody up there, they laughing in the background, they joking, everybody rushing to get on the phone, and it felt good, but that was the first time and the only time I actually spoke to family, in that whole year. So, like I said, I just missed them, man. I miss my brothers, man. I miss my sister. I miss my mothers, both of them. I miss my uncles, I missed everybody, but like I said, I had a good time down there. There were times, man, my father and I, we would just swim, and, we would work together. He would take me on a couple of his jobs doing sheetrock and painting, and I'd earn some money, we would, just travel, walk the beaches, man, and just talk, so he, I loved him, what I'm saying? And I loved, the adventure of it all, but I was lonely, man, and I missed my clan. So fast forward, my cousin gave him a date and was like, man, come on up, man. Baby said, I need you here, and, when I come back, you face whatever. So my father started saving money. I'm eager. I'm like, oh, we going home. I'm happy. And, man, I think he had we needed like $500 to come straight from St. Croix to DC. So he had like $300 and some dollars. He's like, yeah, we got it. I'm, almost there. Finish this job, but I'ma have it. And let me put this in a perspective. we're supposed to, let's say, get on the airplane on a Friday. He had $300 and some change on a Tuesday. I'm thinking he's gonna be ready by Friday, right? Tuesday. Wednesday, he smokes all that money up, smokes it up. And he's always been honest, he's always said, yeah, that was gone. He had a serious disposition, he didn't really brook no funny faces. You look at him funny, you know what I'm saying? You might, so he ain't, you ain't gonna look at him funny, suck your teeth and all. He ain't doing that. You just gonna take whatever he say. So he was like, yeah, I smoked it up, relapse, we'll find a way. And so I'm talking about for a whole day, like Wednesday, I was depressed. Thursday, I was like, man, how we gonna get home, man? That's it. We ain't gonna never get home, man. And oh man, God is wonderful, man. I swear, the brother that we stayed with, that my cousin knew, that we stayed with when we first got there for those 1.5 days, he pulled up in the neighborhood, man. And I hadn't seen him since that night, that afternoon, evening he dropped us off at the brother's house. And man, this man had an envelope and handed it to my father. So when I went down, I gave him the greetings. And the brother's name was Bari, right? And so he came and my father shook hands. He greeted and they kind of talked for about, an hour. My father came back in the room and he was like, war, our cousin, man, this man, he did my whole bit with me. I love him to death, man, because he did my whole bit with me. He's been around us all my whole life. His children, I love him, man. We love each other. We've always been tight. He sent the ticket. He sent both tickets for us, man. So that Friday we were on that plane. We said our farewells to the people that we were tight with, and we were on that plane and we were headed back to DC. And we stayed, in Suitland for a second when we landed. They came and picked us up, my cousin did, and we stayed at his house. Him and his wife at the time, they went to the airport and went to, Mecca, Arabia, and Egypt. We stayed with our cousins for about a month. And he came back, my cousin and them came back. And my father went ahead and turned himself in. My grandfather helped pay his bond. And he didn't really have to do anything, I want to say, if a month, if that, because like I said, it was a weed charge. He was just gone for a long time. My grandfather paid the bond or whatever. And he did a little time, like I said, about a month and some change. But, like I say, drugs was, it was on him now. And so my brother and I, my older brother and I, we moved uptown, Northwest, with my mother, my biological mother, and she had 2 children, my youngest brothers. And we stayed up there. My older brother actually hadn't been uptown. He was up there when I was in the islands. He was back over in Southeast staying with family. And so, I came uptown and new scene, new environment. My father was on drugs for a long time, on and off. He was in a lot of rehab houses. We would go visit him. And, there were times, like I said, we would go out to the movies and everything would be good. And he always had a job. He's never been a lazy man. No matter what he went through, he never been a lazy man. So he would work and we would go, and there would be times he would be like, man, come and pick up this money, because he didn't really want much. He usually lived in a rooming house, if anything. And if we didn't come, that money might have been smoked up, and so sometimes we would go, he would have money for us. Sometimes we would go and he would be like, man, y'all should have came yesterday. I relapsed. And he would be kind of quiet, and that's the shame and the guilt. And, we would feel it and we would get back on the bus or the subways to go back home or whatever. And this happened a lot, to be honest, and like I said, we loved him. We stayed with my mom, and she was on welfare for a long time. She didn't come out the house but like twice a week. Twice a month, to go get the food stamps or what have you, as I mentioned, and go get the check. And she would cash it and go to the store, and she would let us, once she get the check, she would let us go with her to Murray Steakhouse, and she would say pick something, so we all picked something that we liked, which was usually some cereal or another, and some steak. So we did that, and we would see our younger brothers on a couple times a month, and visit family, because my family always lived in close proximity of one another. But many were oblivious to the fact that, like I said, my mother didn't come out much. She didn't hang in the project. She didn't want to come out on Euclid or, hang around in Clifton. We had a cousin that stayed over there, and we, would go visit her frequently, spend the weekends and whatever. You know, she was one of my older cousins, so she was young, but she had her own apartment. She allowed my grandfather to stay with her when he was going through it with his family. His, at the time, his common law wife. My uncle stayed with her, my brother stayed with her, you know. So we did that, but crack had hit the scene. So, you know, my uncle, one of them, on crack. My other uncle, on crack. One of my uncles was a street guy, like a real wild street guy. I always looked up to him because he loved family. He always took us places. He always made time for us. And he was street, and so many people respected him. You know, they cared about him, some feared him, but he always made time for family. He got on crack. You know, that was like, wow, you know, my aunt, she got on crack. And eventually I started selling, you know, and I would sell out of her little apartment. You know, but she always fed everybody. This aunt fed the family. You could come over there any given day, and she made enough food for anybody that came over there, right? And so you had those moments. You had those moments of family bond, unity. We all laugh and everybody's joking, everybody's in each other's company. But then you had that nighttime, you know, when people borrow money. Let me borrow $20. You'll never see that 20 again. Let me borrow your bike. You'll never see that bike again. I remember one of my uncles took my brother's bike, told my mother that my brother was going to sell it to him. He did, you know, my brother did say he was going. He never saw the money. My uncle got the bike, man. My brother never saw the money, man. Brand new Diamondback, you know, Baja mountain bike, man. And, you know, crack just hit the scene hard. You know, we would visit my father. He would bless us with some money. And next thing you know, we like, where daddy go, find out he's in another rehab, you know, down in Northeast somewhere or up in Silver Springs somewhere. And he was, again, he worked hard. But when them drugs hit, man, them drugs hit hard. And then they started taking the younger generation because now the youngers are the ones selling it. And so violence escalated seriously. DC in 88, I want to say 89, the murder capital, you know, of America, because now everybody's out there selling crack. And I'm talking about it was a terrible drug, you know, and people out there, you got the youngest selling it. You got the older people smoking it. And so you had guys that, you know, became stick-up boys. And so now they're out there, they're shootouts, they're robberies, and the prison was swelling, you know, across the globe, you know, and I'm talking about shooting 400. DC is not that big, you know, and you have 400, 500 murders a year. You're shooting and killing every single night because of the crack epidemic, man. And it was a terrible, terrible, terrible drug, and all the drugs are terrible. Heroin, you know, every drug you can think of, man, you know, angel dust, cocaine, you know, alcohol, you know what I mean? All this stuff, man, you know, and I sit back and I regret selling the drugs, man, because I've sold to people that I shouldn't have sold to, man. Even a family member or two, man. And I regret that, man, with a weight on, you know, with a weight, to be honest with you, because when I speak and to discuss when it comes to the thought of drugs and what it did to us, you know, I have to look in that mirror, you know, and I was never no big time drug dealer at all, you know, but I sold a little bit, I made a little money, man, but I regret so much of what I've done in life, you know, but, you know, I'll touch a little more on that, but I'm drawn to where I started getting locked up, you know, just as a juvenile into my, that long 25-year bit, you know, so I was long in this one. I apologize, not for the length, but, you know, sometime, man, like I say, you know, reflecting, I want you all to feel a little bit, you know, and see, you know, walk with me. I could have broke this thing down, man, in finer detail, you know, but because it was a lot of episodes and incidences, man, and I'll speak on those because, again, like I said, I just want you all to see that everybody has a story to tell. The homeless person, the incarcerated person, you know, the woman with children and no man, the man who's, you know, taking care of his child, you know, the fool on the street. You know, everybody has a story to tell, man. And so it's easy to judge books by their cover. Very easy, you know, but when we take the time maybe and get to know people's tale, we'll be a little more merciful. So again, thank you all. I truly thank you all for listening. You know, continue to like, you know, if you will, continue to share these videos, man, because like I say, you may share with someone that may get something from this, not just because they're incarcerated or because they're headed that way. It may be somebody that just needed someone to tell their story, you know, out of my own mouth, you know. So again, thank you all. Share, continue to subscribe. And, you know, like I say, we in this together, and I appreciate you all. You know, do your best to have a good day. And if you do your best, I'm sure you will, even if it ain't easy to do. So take care, have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Peace.